welcome to the Hot Nerd Network. The first word. I'm Philip Parker.
I'm PV Parker.
And today we're going to be doing a recap of Ahsoka episode 7. So Phil, this episode here, episode 7.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do a recap. Let's do the episode recap. Do you want to go ahead and do an episode recap?
I told you, I love your recaps.
Okay.
I love your recaps. I don't know the audience, if y'all feeling what I'm feeling, but I love my dad's recaps. So go ahead, Pop. You are the recap connoisseur.
I'm the recap king. Got it.
You're recap king. Go ahead.
Well, just real short. We did at episode 6. You and I talked about what happened to Hera. So this episode 7 started with Hera being like in a court martial, and that one nemesis guy, Asian American, I don't know if American, the Asian guy, he's still up her ass about different things, about not following instructions, personal vendetta, and all that kind of stuff. But what was a throwback to Star Wars. CP3O comes in and says he quote unquote got a message from Leia that she authorized the excursion to help out Ahsoka. So that kind of took the heat off of Hera. And then we fast forward to Ahsoka and Huyang are still in the Purrgil, and you see Ahsoka training with Vader, with Luke, not Luke, Anakin, who boy, and she's going back to her basic steps, and sometimes you get back to your fundamentals because she knows she lost to Baylan, and she knows that she's gonna have to face Baylan. And so she's going back to her basic steps, and you can kind of foreshadow that a little bit because during the hologram with Anakin, you hear him say, yeah, this will help you. These steps will help you with, because you never know, you might meet Grievous out there, you might meet Dooku out there. So these are the steps that he gave her Ahsoka to practice her form and technique. Now remember last episode 6. Grand Admiral Thrawn had gave a order to mine, but he said mine. He said to shoot any Purrgil that approaches the planet. And so when they come out of this new hyperspace, we see that the world is at this minefield, and the poor Purrgil, they're just getting blasted away. And so Ahsoka leaves. They hide away in the bones of the Purrgil because that's their dying. They look like this. That's where they go to die. But what was interesting is that all of a sudden the Night Sisters are calling Grand Admiral Thrawn my lord, and I thought that was kind of well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
So then after that we see Baylan and Shin. They come up on Serene and Ezra. A fight ensues, and then we have Ahsoka coming in, and Baylan, and which again I like her new Ahsoka the White because she's now more of a defensive fighter, not trying to beat or destroy. And with this new tactic, as she told, as they were fighting, Baylan said, that you can't beat me. You must know you can't beat me. He said, that wasn't my objective. And then Huyang comes in, gives her a diversion. Boom, she goes to help.
Ezra.
Now, but what's interesting now, after she left, Baylan looked like where she was going, but then Baylan looked another way, and then he didn't go to help Shin. So the battle fights again with Shin, and you see Ezra. Ezra now is just the force wielder. He's not even want to use his saber, his lightsaber, and you see him do a couple of force pushes. And one of the great scenes I like. Well, again, we'll get to that. And let me see to wrap it up. So then they overcome the battle, but then going back to Grand Admiral Thrawn, he said, don't worry about it because what Ahsoka missed is that what was more important was time. And now they had all those caskets loaded onto the ship. Now you look as though he was going to leave. He is in. Thrawn was ready to leave. So that's a long recap of this particular episode. Did I miss anything with the recap?
The only thing that I would add is that when Thrawn gave Balin and Sin the order to, well, he gave them the order to eliminate the friends, so
Mm-hmm.
Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
But when Balin and Sin came up upon, when they came upon uh, Ezra and Sabine,
Mm-hmm.
Balin said, or Sin asked Balin, are we going to go? Like, are we going to go take them out? And he said, well, you can go,
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, that was
you can
important.
go,
Thank you.
but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my destiny lies elsewhere. And okay, so that, we'll get into our thoughts and
Yeah.
feelings towards that,
Yeah.
but I thought that was paramount,
Yeah, that was really
um,
important.
really important going forward. So that's the only
Yeah.
thing I would add to that.
Well, then I'll let you. Let's roll into the next segment of this podcast. Is your favorite moment? So, what was your favorite moment or moments in episode 7? Um, Again, which was called Dreams and Madness, which was harking back to when they were. Balin had said that before. The fantasy about uh, Purrgil and interstellar travel and all the Night Sisters. That was his Dreams and Madness. So, what was your favorite moment of episode 7?
So I did think about this, and it's actually rather tough because I actually had two.
Okay.
So of course, me being old school, I love lightsaber fights.
Yeah.
So the rematch between Balin and Ahsoka, it was a real thing. That was a
Yeah.
real thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, not only was she more prepared this time, because we saw her, she wielded both her sabers this time, as opposed to her just using the one in their first
Mm-hmm.
battle. But then we also saw Balin, continue with his stance and his sabers style of fighting. Um, if you okay, so if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that one of the best saber wielders was Anakin.
Yes.
Um, Anakin, okay, so Anakin relied on his saber ability early when he was Anakin, but as he became Vader, he used more of the Force, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, but when we watch Balin fight and duel, he doesn't use that much of the Force. It's really
Mm-hmm.
strictly about his saber abilities. Now we've seen him use the Force, but not in combat.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of paramount because it kind of is a throwback to how important lightsaber wielding is in the Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
Jedi, they train their younglings early not only to use the Force and to not not I don't want to say not trust your eyes, but to use everything around you.
Yeah.
And one thing that you have to when we're speaking about Vader slash Anakin, you
Mm-hmm.
had to know that he's going to use anything around him. So,
Right.
you know, if he's going to take out the ground underneath of you, he's going to make this pillar fall on you. He's going to use everything in his power to win the fight. And
Yes.
I just love how Balin is like, scrap all that. We just gonna go mano and mano. Your lightsaber, my lightsaber. Best man wins. And I
Okay.
like that. I like that. So that was my favorite scene. The close second was um, seeing how strategical and very prepared Thrawn is.
Yep.
That's scary, but we'll get into that. But
Yeah, we'll
that's
get
a
into that.
close
Yeah.
that's a close second. But my absolute favorite, I love the battles in this episode. Even the one with Ezra and Sabine, and how, like you said, Ezra was using more of the Force, and he didn't want to take his saber back from Sabine. I think that's going to come back later on.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
But yeah, the fight scenes in this episode were just they were top tier. It kind of rivaled episode 4/5
Yep.
with
Mm-hmm.
Anakin and Ahsoka, but yeah, this was that was mine. What about you? What about you?
You know, it's going. I don't know why. it just cracked me up. So when they were fighting, when they Serene, Shin, Ezra, Ahsoka, when they all was fighting, so coming before the fight, Ezra and Serene were riding on those
Mm-hmm.
Noggles, one of their
Mm-hmm.
vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
and in my back of my mind, I'm like, okay, where's her howler? They did all this backstory with her admonishing the animal and all that kind of stuff. Where'd the guy go? So
Yeah.
during the fight, I don't know if you caught it.
Oh, he
During the
peeped
fight,
out
just
the window.
he out the window.
And then shut it back.
I don't know. That is stupid, but that right there, for them to put that little bit in, that level of detail, because I'm the type that's like, okay, what happened? Like I said, what happened? Where's the continuity? And for them to do that, I don't know. It was stupid. I know it was stupid, but I love that scene. So, I'll take the next one. My impressions and reaction to this episode. Well, this my impression is the build up, because the next episode is the last one. As we said last podcast, that no way they're going to finish this storyline up.
Right.
I was kind of pissed off because they're drag. Sometimes I get you have to drag things out,
Yes.
but what I guess we're going to get the payoff. What is drawing Balin and what is his higher purpose? I kind of wish they would have did that in this episode,
Right.
because and then let all of episode 8 be about Thrawn
Yes.
and Ahsoka. So my,
Yes.
my my impression and reactions is I was kind of like, okay, look, come on, you've been alluding to it. It's kind of like what you said in our first podcast. You were like, it was a lot of contemplating and
Mm-hmm.
all that, and I got a sense with the Balin thing. So what about you? What about your initial impressions and reaction to episode 7?
So, audience, this is how you know that, you know, not only do we share the same name, but this is definitely my dad, because I felt the exact same way. I used the exact same verbiage as well. This episode felt like the first two. Because if you go back and remember, episode 1 and 2 were dropped at the same time. So we
Yeah.
got two episodes in one drop.
Yes.
This episode felt synonymous to that one, where it was more of a filler episode. They gave us, even down to when, if you remember, the stormtroopers surrounded the trio. Was it the trio, or was it just? I think it was just Ezra and Serene then. But they surrounded them, and then Ezra did that joke. We're like, hold on, wait a minute, just trying to fend them off with jokes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Take them out. I don't understand
Right.
why are you trying to joke? This episode felt like a filler, because, and we'll get into our ratings, our lightsaber ratings later. But I do feel like this was a filler, and I felt like they dropped the ball, because this was a perfect episode, like you said, to give a little bit more insight, because we only have one left.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unless you're going to go full throttle, open the throttle, and give us Balin, give us Thrawn, give us Ahsoka, um, give us the Rebel Alliance. Unless you're going to cram pack all this into episode 8, I
Yep.
really do think that they dropped the ball on it. So this episode, it could have been a number of things. You could have isolated you could have isolated Balin and his true intentions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have isolated Thrawn on what was in the coffins, the cases, that kind of thing. You could have expounded on the Night Sisters and how Morgan is involved. You could have expanded on, or gave us a little bit more insight on, because one of my biggest questions from last episode, or one of my unanswered questions, is what happened in the time gap from when Ezra took them to the galaxy they're in now to
Yeah.
where they are now, time
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah. What
They could have.
happened? Yeah.
What happened? So
Give us some
this
backstory. Yeah.
give us some backstory. So I feel like this is the episode where you could have done a multitude of things, but instead it's like, okay, we're going to give you a little bit of crumbs on this one, we're going to give you a little bit of crumbs on this one, we're going to give you a little bit of crumbs on this one, and it just left us, to me, it left me unfulfilled in a solid episode. Because if you look at 4, 5, and 6. If you look at
Hmm.
4, 5, and 6, those were hearty episodes.
Yeah,
Those were
Hardy. I like that.
very,
Yeah, yeah.
they had a lot of substance to them. It had me going back like, dang, I need to go back and watch this episode again. And I didn't get that feeling. I felt kind of unfulfilled after watching this. It was great seeing the trio back together. It was great seeing, um, like I said in our opening, that you see the pure genius and the tactician that Thrawn is,
Yeah.
because nothing seems to really phase him. Either he has prepared for what's coming, or he has a plan, for an alternate plan already in place. So we see all that, but I just felt like we could have seen more of something. Pick one storyline and give us more of that, instead of giving us a little bit of everybody.
Yeah. Well, so we're spot on. So I'll let you take what's next coming up is, and you started with it, the plot analysis. What's your plot analysis so far for episode 7?
So
I think you kind
the
of touched on it a little bit there, so just keep going with that.
with the plot in this episode, I feel like it was, I don't want to say it was lost, but I feel like it was all over the place.
All over the place, yeah.
If we were on a even playing field from from 3 until now, this one was going like this. It was just all over the place. It was just all over the place. But we see, not only do we see the true nature of Thrawn,
Yeah.
um, we see the strong connection that, not even that, we see the differences in the force between a lot of our characters, because we
Mm-hmm.
see how, Ahsoka she was able to hone in on the skills that Anakin had taught her.
Yeah.
We see that Sin isn't the tactician that we initially thought she was when we first saw her in episode 1.
Right.
When we first saw her in episode 1, we thought she was a true badass.
Right.
She made really light work of Sabine in the first episode, or episode 2. She made really quick work of her. And even when Sabine, she used both. She used her Jedi, ability with the saber, and she used the Mandalorian, and she didn't
Yeah.
stand a chance. But
Right.
then we truly see how inferior she is against, not only a force wielding person in Ezra, but a person who's mastered the force and the lightsaber in Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah, yeah, because even in, just to keep going with that, even when Ahsoka, you see her true intention, and now go with my plot analysis. I said it before. I think Shin is going to join in
Mhm,
with
mhm,
them because
mhm,
Balin's going to leave her,
mhm.
and you always see the choices. Do you go with Thrawn when you know really that he really doesn't have your back? Do you really go with a person like that? So I think that's going to be something to look at also. And again, I'm not going to just regurgitate what you just said and what you had said prior. It was all over the place. This will plot, you can see it building to what we know it's going to be, and it's kind of disappointing because
Yes.
now I'm feeling a little bit more commercial. I mean, I
Mhm.
love what's going on, but I'm
Right,
feel like I'm being played a little bit. So you know,
right. I felt like
um,
they could have used this episode. Well, this episode kind of seemed synonymous. If like, it almost seemed like a recap. You know,
yeah,
uh, this is what's going on. This is what we're teasing to the end, instead of giving us something of substance.
right. So now let's go with the character highlights. And I think for me, my character highlight, well, I did like the fact, because I've never seen it before, how Ezra force bended the
Mm,
um the lightsaber. I
Mm-hmm.
think I saw. Well, wait, let me back up. I did see it before. I saw it in um, Obi Wan's tales, and you
Mm-hmm.
see when Vader was fighting the undercover Inquisitor, and she
Mm-hmm.
was she was battling with him, and then boom, and so you saw Anakin or Darth Vader force stop the this lightsaber, and if Ezra's now has elevated to that when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
wielding the Force, that's pretty doggone good. Again, just to reiterate again, Thrawn, yeah, we got Thrawn. We know Thrawn's a tacticianer. Balin, um, even Sabine, and I'm surprised how Ezra took it. He said, "Well, you thought she was dead, you know,"
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
Sabine said, "Ahsoka, well, I thought you were dead." And I said, "You thought she was dead? Like you
Right.
didn't tell me?" So
Right.
I think I understand Ezra's happy that they're there, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there's going to have to be some accountability for what Sabine did. So, what about you? What about your character highlights?
So mine is actually a oldie but goodie on your end. It's actually the interaction between Hu Yang and Ahsoka, because when we first see them, um, they're in, like you said, they're in the mouth of the Purrgil, and the Purrgil cracks his mouth open a little bit, and you see all these fireworks and explosions going off and something like that and stuff like that, and so Hu Yang's like. Ahsoka's like, we need to get out of here. And Huyang's like, I don't think that's too wise. But when they finally do escape and they do hide out in the bone astral field,
Mm-hmm.
we get this candid interaction between the two, and it actually goes to show, we know Hu Yang has been along with the Jedi for millennia.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
one of the main droids that has seen it all, done it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But his what's I think what sets him apart, and this is what actually for me, this is what catapults Hu Yang into the tier of droid,
Okay.
um, because you see the Hu Yang is a droid, but he also has a humility side to him. But
Yeah.
not only that, it specifically comes out when he's talking to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
We've seen it on their travel to, the galaxy they are in now. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen it when they were on the planet, and he was trying to get he was trying to get Ahsoka to realize that, hey, Sabine, you all need each other. Not only
Yeah.
do you need her, but she needs you as well.
Yes.
And that's my if I had a character that need to highlight, I think it's Hu Yang, because in every step and fashion, Hu Yang has either been the one who had a level head, or
Mm-hmm.
he's had some kind of humility point with a character. So whether it's Sabine, whether it's Ahsoka, he's had some kind of heart to heart moment that we just
Yeah.
see unfold, that we haven't seen a droid do before. You
Right.
know, C3PO, not C3, R2D2 couldn't talk.
Right.
Chopper can't talk.
Right.
B2 can't talk.
Right.
CP30 can talk, but it was more of a wiry,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that kind of aspect. Hu Yang is very well spoken. He has wit. He has character. He has a little bit of stubbornness to him. You see when his eyes get narrow, when he gets frustrated, his eyes get narrow. So I just, I'm really feeling Hu Yang, especially this
Yeah, I
episode.
told you I do like Hu
Feeling Hu
Yang.
Yang. I'm feeling Hu Yang.
Well, let me let you take the next part of the podcast, the unanswered questions.
Mm.
Again, I think we've been touched on a little bit because it's so hard, but I'll let you dive a little bit deeper. What about any unanswered questions that you might have?
So of course, number one, we're so the obvious one is Thrawn. What's in the caskets? What was he diverting Ahsoka's attention away from?
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of questions. Yes, we already know those. But the true underlying questions are: what's up with Balin? What is
Yes.
how? So if I really do think so, I think that Balin is a new has a new way of thinking.
Yeah.
Not only a new way of thinking, but he has a whole different mantra when it comes to the light and the dark side of the force.
Right.
Because not only, but not only does he drop sin, and he's like, hey, that's your destiny is over that
Yeah.
way, but
Yeah.
mine isn't. Mine isn't that way. But we need to find what is he truly after. What are we trying? What is he trying to achieve?
Right.
Is it absolute knowledge? Is it a specific um, part of the force that
Mm-hmm.
he's not able to get? Is it the world between worlds?
Yeah.
Um, what is it that he's seeking that's so great that he's willing? Because remember, now he's sending Sin into a situation where it's possibly 3-on-1, and you
And no
don't
way she
care,
in no way she could beat Ahsoka.
and no way she. Not only that, but if you think about it, when the stormtroopers came back to report to Thrawn, he said, well, Sin is there, but Lord
Yes.
Balin is nowhere to be found. And not only did Thrawn not, he wasn't surprised, but it's just, I don't know, it's to me that I don't want to say it put my antennas up. Like, what's this dude's real deal? Like, what is his
Yeah.
real deal? Um, so that's one of my biggest. What is? I mean, what's funny? Even this episode one, I think that we've been actually that's been on somebody's list of unanswered questions every episode. What is this guy's deal?
Right. Right. Because I think he is the everyone else has kind of had some information about them. We know about Morgan. We know about Thrawn. We know about Ahsoka. We know about Ezra. All these people are new, are not new, but like I said, the whole thing between Balin and Shin. Because to me, Balin is kind of like what the Jedi, no attachments.
Mm-hmm.
You can have it. You can. Hey, do you, boo?
Mm-hmm.
your 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 destiny is not with me.
Right,
You're destined over there. Like, wow.
right.
Um.
Wow. Well, that's
So
a win for you.
right. So the only other unanswered question for me is, what is it going to take for Shin to join their little? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
to beat Thrawn in in season 2 of Ahsoka,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna need these unorthodox Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm feeling. This building, this whole Jedi order now is building towards not the cookie cutter Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they're going back to their roots, and you have different skill sets. I have different skill sets. So my unanswered question is going to be, what is it going to take for Shin to join? Because I thought she thought about it because that
Mm-hmm.
when Ahsoka said, "Come on, give me your lightsaber. Come on."
Right,
I thought I thought she was gonna come. So
right. You saw the weakening or the shield being let down in her
yeah,
mindset.
yeah, because like it's like maybe this lady is not what I thought.
Right.
Sometimes we make our enemy worse than what they are
Absolutely.
just because it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's very interesting. So let's go with cliffhangers
Mm.
discussion again. It's kind of easy because we already talked about it. Is there any more cliffhangers that we needed? We kind of talked about it already, or that you want to add something to it?
So I don't have any, but again, the biggest the biggest caveat is we know how this ends, but we don't know how we got to that ending. And I think the biggest cliffhanger is so in the end, we had Luke have his own temple.
Mm-hmm.
We've had we've had Leia. She had her rebellion
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
troops and stuff like that. But in those facets, in those I guess the postquels, the ones after Return of the Jedi, the Empire Strikes Back, all those, the ones after those in the timeline, we don't see Ahsoka, we
Right.
don't see Ezra, we don't see Shin, we don't see Balin, we don't see any of these guys. You know,
Right.
we hear some of these names, but we don't see what happened to them. You know,
Yeah. Are they
because
stuck in? Are they still stuck in?
are they still stuck? Um,
Mm-hmm.
were they destroyed? Because we not only are they not there, but we know at the end, for example, I'm just going to use Luke. So we know what happened to Luke. We know he was isolated on an island, on a planet by himself. However, Luke's temple was burned down.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what happened, and we can only but assume because Ahsoka knows of Luke's temple.
Yes.
She knows that he's building his own or rebuilding a Jedi temple, but you mean to tell me, Luke went to help um, Kylo? He went to help Ren and Leia eventually,
Right.
but we don't know where's Ahsoka. So
Right.
those are kind of cliffhangers. Like, where is she? What's going on? Who's
I
helping
like
Luke,
that.
if anybody? So that's one of my cliffhangers, if any at this point.
No, actually, that was really good. Like I said, you're really doing deep because I didn't even go that far. I was just, but you're absolutely right. Where are they? Because we know how it ended up. And
Hmm.
there's a big jump between there. So what is the Ahsoka's and that this whole merry band of people? Are they stuck right there where they are? And they, since it's a far, far away temple, place, do we assume that they build a temple there based on the temple stuff that's already there, or the mystic powers? That's a good that's a good uh uh cliffhanger discussion. I like that cliffhanger. I didn't think about that, Phil. That's really good. How does this? I'll take the next one. How does this compare to the other episodes? And I think we're both are. I mean, I like the audience. Don't get me wrong. We're nitpicking. I can watch. Yeah, well, I can watch these type of things over and over and over again. So this is just uber nerdy. This nitpicking here, but I get this episode. I mean, comparison. Without getting into our rankings, which we'll get to later, I give it just above episode 3,
Right.
or on the same level as episode 3. Because, like you said, this I felt like was a filler episode, and they could have did more and put more into the final, the finale. So, what about you? What about your comparison between the other 6 episodes?
Okay. So with this episode, I felt like I think it was episode 3 where it was the shortest. I think episode 3 was the shortest episode, or was it
Okay.
4? One of those two, 3 or 4 was the shortest. I felt like if there was going to be a short episode, this should have been it. This
Yeah.
should have been it. If you were going to shortchange us an episode or give us one of those, we got to put out something
Right.
kind of deals, this was the episode to do that.
Right.
And um, for that, in the hierarchy of the whole season in totality, we're 7 episodes in now. I gotta put it right. I put this one right above 2 and 3 because
Yeah.
not 2 and 3. One, two.
One, two.
Because
Mm-hmm.
1, 2 started us off, but again, it was too many uh, chin scratching, pondering. It was too much of that. And this one, I feel like I said, they just didn't nail anything. They gave us
Yeah.
a bunch of everything, but didn't nail anything.
Right.
And like I said, I didn't get that feeling. The main time I got that feeling was episode 1 and 2,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, where is this going? That you know what? That was my internal thought. Like,
Okay.
where are we going? So, in the hierarchy, I will put this right in front of episode 1, 2.
Okay. Okay. What about your theories and predictions? You started on it a little bit. What about
Oh,
your theories and predictions going forward? with least let's just go with your theories and prediction for episode 8.
Okay. Okay. So hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out
Okay.
for a second.
All
Hear
right.
me out. So I've always had a suspicion that Sabine was going to be
Oh yeah.
a
A dark
Sith,
Sith. A
a
Sith.
dark Sith, that Sin is going. I'm still holding out that Sabine is going to be going to the dark side, but watching the evolution of Balin, because it's funny how you have been on Balin's coattails this whole season, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
He's definitely, your curiosity about Balin has been on 1,000, right? But
Yes.
I feel as if Balin has a different mantra than any character we've seen, and this is why. When we think of a dark side, a force wielder, so
Mm-hmm.
anyone who draws power from the dark side, or it has ambitions of becoming a Sith or some kind of in the dark side hierarchy,
Okay.
one of the key components of being on the dark side, especially if you have a master Padawan on that stand front, is you want your Padawan to eventually overtake you.
Yes. Well, it has to be. Yeah. It's only 2. Like I said, it's only be 2.
It's only two, and then if the point of the Padawan is always to take out the master.
Yeah.
Palpatine. He had Anakin or Vader do his bidding, but all those things were preparing Vader to eventually overthrow Palpatine, and Palpatine knew that. It's
Right.
just that he was putting Anakin Vader into those trials and tribulations to eventually become so cold hearted, so dark, so demented that he would eventually overtake his master. And
Okay.
with the Jedi, it's the exact opposite. It's all for one for all. We're sticking together. And
Right.
with Balin, it's neither. It is
Mm.
neither. You know, if that was the case, so if Balin was as dark and if he was as evil, he would have had Sin take out Sabine when they were on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
when she had
Mm-hmm.
the orb, when she had the
Mm-hmm.
star map.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he was a good guy, let's say maybe he was using the good side of the Force. He was not a Jedi, but he was drawn from the he wouldn't have taken out the star commanders in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
He was
Mm-hmm.
on a murdering spree on the first 2 episodes. And then
Yes.
not only that, he was going to take out Ahsoka. He took out Ahsoka. As far as he knew, Ahsoka was dead.
Right.
So when he came back, when she came back, and he was like, it's a pleasant surprise that you actually survived. That's not the mantra of the dark side. The mantra of the dark side is, I'm finishing this job.
Right.
So the I really do think that there is something. I don't want to say there's something that we're missing, but Balin has some kind of alternative storyline that we're
Yeah.
not seeing. I don't think that they haven't unveiled just yet.
Right.
Um, and I don't think he fits into any narrative of the Force. I think this is a new entity that we just have never seen before.
I agree. Let me see. My I think that Thrawn is going to turn on the Night Sisters.
Oh yes.
And I
Hmm.
think they know it because they're giving him a lot of indifference. I mean, by calling
Hmm.
him Lord, and because I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, he's a great tactician, but what happened for them to be calling him Lord? And then if that's the case, if he's now become a Lord in their eyes, then that's just enough to placate to to give from him their ultimate goal, and then
Right.
there's going to be some type of power play there. So That's what I'm waiting for that whole Night Sister Thrawn thing to turn to a different level.
Now let me ask you this. I
Yeah.
want to throw a quick, what do you think about this? So a part of my prediction of Sabine becoming or going to, Sith is strong. Sith is strong. I'm
Okay.
not going to go. Maybe I need to draw back from the Sith conversation. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you
Dark
that.
side, dark side, dark
Dark
side.
side. Let's go just dark side. So again, I think I said this our last podcast, but I think that her connection to okay. So out of the our good pals there, the between Ezra, Sabine, um, and Ahsoka, I think that somebody is going to have to either wind up staying in the galaxy they are
Mhm.
in currently, or somebody's going to die there.
Oh
And
god, definitely. Yeah. Hmm.
I really do think that that is what, because remember, that's what Palpatine preyed on Anakin with.
Hmm.
That's how he got Anakin in Anakin's ear. I can help you save her, or I can teach you things that the Jedi can't
That no
teach you.
Jedi can teach you. Yeah, yeah.
I can teach you things that no Jedi can teach you. And I really do think, and that emotion, that negative emotion is what drove Anakin to become Vader. And so
Yeah.
I really do think, again, this is a conspiracy. I think something is going to happen to Ezra where um, he's either going to die or he has
Oh
to stay
damn.
back, and it's going to force Sabine to draw from that emotion, and it's going to turn dark. Because even though, and again, this is the theory time slash conspiracies, even though Sabine is um, Ahsoka's Padawan, I really do think that Sin is the one who's going to be Ahsoka's Padawan. I think Sin is going to be the one that has Ahsoka really draw into her being a master, because remember, we've seen Sabine not draw, but she's wielded the dark saber already.
Yeah.
You can't just do that willy nilly, But here we have Sin. Balin said your destiny is over that way, but we don't know what that destiny is. It could be, her learning from Ahsoka. We
Right.
just don't know. We don't know. But that's because I think that this whole our perception of the trio, or our perception of how things are going to go, are completely false. I think that
Oh.
they're just throwing us a monkey wrench, and it's going to go way left.
Oh. Well, you that's Sabine. That it will be a left. A left. So um, so now we to the point of this scene right here.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm sorry, I still gotta go with the howler.
Something wrong with you.
You should have seen me, man. I rewound that part like 7 times. Like, wait a minute, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. So for me, this scene right here was he goes, like, nah, bro. Hey, is everything okay? Is everything? I can track. I'm a look. To me, he like, look, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Right, right.
I'm sorry. What about you? This scene right here, the whistle. This scene right here for you.
So I definitely did enjoy Ezra using the Force, turning down the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Um, so that interaction between them two, it made me giggle, because Sabine was trying hard to give Ezra the lightsaber.
Right.
He took take it,
He said,
he
"Oh,
take
I
it.
gave it to you." Mhm.
And then he goes, but when he, like you said, when Sabine, when Sin went in for her final blow or her final strike, and he stopped it with his force. Oh my goodness! I was like, oh, okay. But that also goes to show you how strong, like you said, how strong Ezra is in the force,
Yeah, he's becoming really
because
strong in the force. Yeah.
not only was he able to use the Purrgil to transport them across the galaxy,
Hmm.
but to have the the fortitude to say, I don't need a weapon. The Force is my weapon. I thought that
Well,
was.
he's always had, and again, when you watch all the Rebels, you'll see Ezra always had a connection with the animals
Mhm,
throughout that whole Rebels, that whole animated series. He's always had a really good connection with the animals. So this just is right in line with that. Again, I think is really symbolic also that he had now found commune with these crab turtle type of
mhm,
creatures, so
mhm,
yeah, but you spot on with that.
mhm.
All right, your favorite portion of the episode, you got to go first. Your favorite portion of the episode, your ratings. What would you rate episode 7, Dreams and Madness, Ahsoka? Go.
I'll go three. I'll go three. You got to give us something, and
Mm-hmm.
they did give us good battles. They did give us
Mm-hmm.
good fights. They did give us little key hints with the Night Sisters and the tombs, or not the tombs, the
Mm-hmm.
coffins. They gave us
Yeah.
little. They gave
Mm-hmm.
us little tidbits. So you got to give us something. I do give it a three. The three mainly draws from Balin and Ahsoka's fight. That's
Yeah,
one.
that was good.
And
Mm-hmm.
then to see, this is the first time we got to see Ezra in action.
Yeah.
And oh my, I mean, really, if you want to be technical, Ezra stole episode 7. This was Ezra's, coming out, breaking out party. Ever since we
Yeah.
saw
Good point. Good point.
him in Rebels, this was like his breakout. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I
So
would I
three
would
three
I give it
lightsabers.
a I give it a three lightsabers. The out of five, the missing ones is just like I said, because it was all over the place. We
Yeah.
didn't get a solid answer out of anything. They gave us
Right.
a bunch of nothing.
Right.
What about you?
Okay. Um, I give it a three also. I wanted to do 3.5,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna stick with the 3 just because it's so obvious that that we're being strong along.
Hmm.
And I don't like that. I don't
I
like
don't
that. I
like
mean,
it. Hmm.
so based on that, I'm like you. I'm just going to give it a. I'm just going to give it a 3.
You got to give us something.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean,
And last as our last thing, this is your hot take. What's your hot take for episode 7?
hot take for episode 7. So I do think that um, the Night Sisters are more integral in Thrawn's plans than we really are
Yes.
taking.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because so
Good point.
of
Good point.
course we know that they have resurrection abilities,
Yes.
but what are you said it earlier. So the Night Sisters seem to giving Thrawn a lot of power, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
they put him on his pedestal. Even with Morgan did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, so Thrawn is a master strategist. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to figure out is, what does Thrawn have over the Night Sisters?
Right.
What is he? What has he? Okay, so the Night Sisters, they have been on. They have been around for millennia. They've been around
Yes.
for a really long time.
Right.
So they have unspoken power and
Yes.
abilities.
Yes.
And my my biggest question is, well, what does Thrawn have to offer them? What did Thrawn offer them, or what did Thrawn say to them that made them work for Thrawn? If
Right.
anything, you would think that, hey, we can go to Mustafar and resurrect all these dead stormtroopers. Excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
all these deceased stormtroopers on Mustafar, or we can go to hell. We can go back to the original Jedi Temple and resurrect all those younglings and stuff, and then raise them as our own.
Right.
So what does Thrawn have over? That is something that I hope that I know we won't get solved in episode
Yeah,
8,
of
but
course not.
that's
Yeah,
something that I hope that they eventually tap into in of either a future movie, future storyline, future Ahsoka season, whatever the case would be. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
want to
yeah.
see what does Thrawn have over the Night Sisters that he has such command over them.
Right, that they're calling him Lord. Yeah.
That not only that they're calling him Lord Pop, but you got to remember Morgan. Morgan was captured.
Yep.
She was broken out.
Right.
She banded, a ragtag, a marauder group,
Mm-hmm.
and traveled to her home planet, and then traveled clear across the galaxy for just for
Right.
Thrawn.
For
You
Thrawn.
know,
Right.
if all said and be, you could have just said, "Hey, we're going to start this thing up ourselves. We can leave Thrawn where he's at.
Right. Right.
We're
Right.
going
Right.
to
Right. Right.
we're going to get some of my Night Sisters, and we're going to do this thing right in our eyes. We're going to build
Right.
this up right now." But she traveled clear across the galaxy just to get Thrawn. So I want to know what did he either promise them, or what does he have over them that makes them bend the knee to him?
Right. Well, that's a good hot take. Now, so in preparing for these podcasts, the internet and YouTube, and we read captions. I, I don't know who it was, and so I got to make sure. I want to make sure I give them the credit, so because I didn't pick this out, so I want to make sure I tell the audience this wasn't something that I picked out. But I was watching someone in preparation for this podcast, and they were noticing that Ezra's undergarment was was
Mm.
was looked like stormtroopers tags
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that so it was made out, or at least he had a whole bunch of stormtrooper tags. That's my hot take, is
Mm.
because remember that Thrawn said, Morgan said, "Don't you think we should send more than 2 squadrons?" He said, "No, we're kind of down. People, our manpower have been dwindling."
Mm-hmm.
So it leads me to believe that when he says that our ranks have been dwindling, that Ezra was a big part of that, because he's collecting stormtrooper dog tags, and he collected so many of them that he now has a metal undergarment protecting. So that's my hot take.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I can see that, but also that goes. It's catch-22, because we've seen that Ezra doesn't like killing.
right,
So where did those tags come from?
right,
If because the main reason he didn't want to use the saber is, like I say, he rather use the force, and he was pushing people away, that kind of thing. So if he's not killing, how did he get those tags?
how
That's
do
a
you get
good
those
point.
tags? Yeah, so.
That's a good point.
Well,
Good point.
podcast audience, Phil, we come to the end of this episode 7, Ahsoka, Dreams and Madness. Um, I liked it overall, and and I could, like I said, I could do much, much more. So as we wrap up here, I'd like to give shout out to other people in the Hot Nerd Network.
Mm.
Hey, if you like Power, we cover that. Hot Nerd Network, there's Power. Hot Mom, like I said, Hot Mom just dropped a really good episode of Equalizer. So Hot Nerd Network, also we do movie recaps, and so again, Basement Bros, they should be dropping something. So we have a little bit of everything for everybody here. So please subscribe to this podcast, and click on the Hot Nerd Network and see if there's something else that you like. And like Phil said last time, if you don't see it and you want us to cover it, let us know, because we've always up for the challenge. Did I miss
And
anything, Phil?
first worders, we actually popping out. We're working on a surprise for you guys next week
Next week,
for
yep,
the
yep, yep.
Ahsoka finale. So make sure that you all tune in
Yes.
for our episode 8 Ahsoka recap finale episode, because we're going to have a special gift for you guys. So just make sure you all chime in. And then if you guys want something if you guys want something to cover, or you want us to cover something, just let us know in the comments. Just drop, hey, once you guys cover this, so we'll cover anything you guys like. And like Pop said, we have several different networks: Barbie, Power, Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. Oh, I forgot about that.
Hot
Yes.
Nurse says she's going to do Survivor soon. So
Survivor, yes.
Whole bunch of different stuff. Whatever you like, we got you. If it's something that we're not covering that you want us to go over, best believe my father and I, we got you covered. So just make sure you give us.
No, you said good. Make sure you said make sure.
Oh, make sure you comment at the bottom. Make sure you comment.
I know, I'm sorry.
What it is. No, you're fine. Make sure you comment whatever it is that you want us to cover.
Yes, and lastly, I want to say a special thanks. The analyst has been looking at our podcast, and we're on a very a climb. It's not a rocket ship, and that's the way we like it. We're building a nice foundation with you guys' help, and so continue to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. And we really do appreciate you're watching these podcasts and listening to the podcast. We also got some analytics back that the podcast listening is also starting to take off a little bit too. So thanks a lot. Just sorry to keep going on and on, but I just want to make sure that we give out the proper appreciation to your time and effort. So like Phil said, next week, next week's episode will be the season finale of Ahsoka. So until then, you're not gonna do it.
May the force be with. I gotta put both because I'm a Palpatine. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you. Talk to you later.